Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk on SMEs. How do we close that digital divide? How do we empower them? And we're doing that with experts on SMEs, people who are in very close contact with SMEs, as well as Huawei, which is also in contact with SMEs, and you. We want to connect with you here at Huawei Connect 2023 at the Paris Expo. So yes, how are SMEs making that shift? How can we help them? I hear this all the time. I live in Brussels. And in the bubble there, the policy bubble, you hear all this. Yes, we have to make the digital transition, the green transition. It's a mantra. How do we make it happen? This is almost going to be like a workshop. A couple of tech tips. We are live streaming. And so hello to everyone who is out there. If there are questions from the audience, you can send in on Slido. You see the big bug up there. You connect there and send them in. Please send them in. And the hashtag, keep that in mind, hashtag SME Innovation. Tweet like a beast. If you hear something great that we talked about, send that out, cast it wider on the social networks. Let me call up the panelists, the speakers, starting with Jesus Contreras, the Chief Operating Officer of EIT Digital. Welcome. Buenos días, Jesus. Buenos días. Amandine Lavaux-Zimola, who is President Amandine, you are President of Digital SME France and founder and CEO of Steel PC. Welcome. Also, Horst Heitz, who you heard of already. Welcome back, Horst. SME Connect Steering Committee. Guten Tag, freut mich. And also Afke Schalt, who is Senior Vice President of Government Affairs at Huawei. Welcome. Goeiedag, Afke, although you live in China now, right? Afke, you can sit over here. And please do have a seat, please. Let's start with the issue. Let's try to dig into that issue about this gap. There's an EU report on the state of the digital decade that came out in September that says that 69% of EU SMEs have a basic level of digital intensity. Now, I know, Horst, you gave that lower figure, but that did exist a couple of years ago. So it's gone up. And thanks in part to the COVID crisis, which sped up that digital transition. That's great. But we're still not there yet. We're still about a third of SMEs in Europe that don't have that digital capability. So that's very important to look at. That's what we're looking at right now. Why do SMEs matter? Of course, there are millions of them. It's more than 95%. It's the backbone of the European economy. It's 23 million SMEs in the EU, starting with one person and on up. So it's all kinds of SMEs. And I'm sure there's some SMEs out there too. So I'd love to hear from you. If you can send in your questions on this, how do we close that divide? Let's start with Jesus. Let's talk first about the issue, the problem. What are they struggling with? With EIT Digital, I know that you connect startups and SMEs with expertise, with finance, get them access to finance. What are the biggest problems? What kind of pain do you feel from them?
Thank you, Chris. You're absolutely right about that. And SMEs have a whole bunch of problems. So it's not just one problem. It's finance, regulation, a lot of problems. But I think the main one is that the CEO of these MSMEs, they feel they need to digitalize and need to transform the company. They feel it deep in their bones. But they are not convinced of that. They need to understand what is the time, the money, the profit they will get. And if that's clear for them, they will find the money, they will find the regulation, they will find a partner.
So the important thing is to make it clear to SMEs that are skeptical about that the bottom line is going to improve if they do. Right?
Exactly. They need to know certainly, or the much as possible, that it will bring them profit. They will bring them profit in the short term.
Yeah.
So they need to have the business case.
Okay, so then it's almost like trying to change a mindset. There's a mind block there. But Amandine, what do you see as a problem? Can you add to that?
I think it's a skills. Today, we have a lot of people have a good skill, but the technology are very, very fast. And after, you don't have the good skills with the good person. So now, when you need to do something in digital, the people haven't the good skills. So it's very a problem, and training and learn is very important.
Okay, that's really good to know. Horst, let's move to you. We heard a bit about from your talk. I think a part of it is maybe a question of awareness, also, isn't it?
Yes, of course. SMEs has to be informed, need knowledge about this. What is possible is also related to their business. So smaller, so easier, so more clear you have to explain it, how to use data and so on,
Right.
and to pave the way. And I think SMEs are more and more aware of this since COVID. It was really a booster of this, but it's also an age thing, and it's also consumer driven. If my business, I have consumers who are not adapting, I have not adapt my business. So most of the SMEs want the fast turnover of investment. They need it also. They have reserves for 6-8 months.
Yeah.
And it means it must be really for business accounting. And consumers are the key. The clients, the partners, the suppliers.
It has to be kind of consumer-driven, too. They are demanding that.
Yeah, B2B, B2C.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. Afka, let me ask you, and I know that you used to be a member of Parliament in Holland as well, so you're aware of policy issues. But let me ask you, before I get to that, is that there are a number of programs that Huawei has across Europe in various countries, in Poland, Italy, Spain, France, Germany. So you, with SMEs, so you are very much in touch with the pain they feel. What kind of pain do you hear about?
Yeah, no, that's true. And you know what you said before in the introduction, there are more SMEs than larger companies. 99% of the companies in Europe are small and medium enterprises.
Indeed.
So you know that's something. So we really need to help accelerate and simplify the business for smaller and medium enterprises,
Yeah.
you know, to make them grow their business and perhaps go global.
Right.
So, well, we offer a lot of things. Like you said, we have programs all over Europe, and we offer not only mentoring, technological support, but also a one-stop solution for SMEs, you know, to really have it all and partner with them.
Yeah, so you are responding to a digital gap.
Yes.
How bad is that gap that you see?
You know, it's been, well, a lot of people and SMEs and their founders are still struggling, like you said.
Yeah.
But we do see that since the pandemic, you know, people have sort of transformed a little more digitally. And so there has been a catch up, but still not there. So we really have to work on the basics. And for that, you know, it's so important to have this one-stop solution.
And I think in your talk just a few minutes ago, Holst, I heard you talking about how if you're not digital, you can't compete internationally, right? You need to be digital to do that. It's the digital and the dead when it comes to world trade, right?
Yeah, of course, e-commerce is the booster. I see the example of Italy. It's the main driving. I fear 400 billion is e-commerce, and this is for SMEs the key point. It's the easiest thing to enter new markets because you have only to open of course, you use big platforms, but later you can promote your own website, and then you can perhaps find partners to do this in the countries abroad. And I think this is the easy way. It's in general the easiest way to open a business digital, meanwhile, because you have lower taxes and costs and whatever.
I'm looking at a list of other issues that SMEs deal with, and one is on cybersecurity. Who wants to talk about that? Cybersecurity issues. That if they don't get smarter about digital, that includes dealing with cybersecurity, right?
I can. I had a cybersecurity attack already last week.
Tell us about it. What happened?
I think I was speaking with the Bavarian police because my email was catched up, and then they changed the membership invoice and wanted to bring it to another bank account. And you have to say, if nothing happened, the police is doing nothing. It's really a safe business for these criminals.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this is, of course, for small business to becoming really afraid, and this is why they're also saying, I want not to do something with cybersecurity. It sounds big, complicated,
Yeah.
dangerous, and I can make mistakes, and they get a letter back from the police. If data are also included, were grabbed by the criminals, you are responsible, you can get a fine that you were a victim of such a crime.
Right. Amandine, how much do you see in that?
For cybersecurity, in informatics, we said 80% of the problem is between keyboard and chair, because the person is vulnerable, because they don't, the person that don't have the good skills, don't have the good key for do good things.
Right.
If you explain at the person, at all people, what do you do and what you don't do,
Right.
you help cybersecurity. You can have hardware, software, all. If you don't learn to people something, you don't have cybersecurity.
Okay. Jesus, let me ask you about this, because I know that, as I mentioned, that EIT does connect finance types with startups. How much is that access to finance a problem for SMEs?
It is, especially for growing. So first of all, you need to find a SMEs that wants to grow, because not all of them wants to grow.
Yeah.
They want to stay in the comfort zone and so on. But once they decide and once they perceive that they either grow or die, they need to find access to finance. And in Europe, we have this heterogeneous market, so it's not so easy to grow up. When you set up a company in Portugal, going to Finland, and very next day, it's mission impossible. So that's why these companies struggle to find capital to growth.
Right.
And what we do, we syndicate this capital. So we find more than one that is willing to share the risk with others, and that's the way we help them to grow.
Okay. And then another aspect is costs. Raw materials, energy. How much is that a problem? Because these are all issues. I think all of these issues are in part what we could help to solve digitally, right? In terms of becoming more efficient, in terms of having more access to finance. So what about costs? Does anybody want to talk about that?
Well,
Yep.
you know, indeed, it's like a group of issues that you have to address, right, as a starting entrepreneur. So indeed, it's all about certificate standards. I think, you know, in Europe, it's, well, leading in a way when it comes to policy, like you said before.
Yeah.
And, well, you know, it's important to especially when you have ambitions that are international, that you have an understanding of how it works, you know, all around the world, so globally perhaps even. So for that, you know, it's important to partner and to provide a network with other entrepreneurs and organizations, you know, and like yours, to have a bit of an expertise and learn from each other on how to do this. You know, all these problems that we are here, you know, people perhaps might be like a little bit reluctant to start a business, but I feel, you know, that with technology we can really offer solutions that will have to simplify, you know, doing business so that people can do what they do best, and that is, you know, being entrepreneurial.
Okay. Anyone else on energy costs, on the
I could.
Okay.
It's indirectly cost of time. If I have small IM, I have to break down the processes. I cannot deliver my client. That means there must be understanding of the other side that I'm not in business in this moment. If I have one person per company or 10, it means I have to make a restructuring of my processes.
Right.
This is not so easy. But in the supply chains, this is also so that SMEs have to really force each other. And there we need large companies who are helping us also that we can do these processes fast. Only to pay the cost, only to pay to implement the digitalization is too less. It is also how to survive the time it needs to implement it.
Okay, good. Amandine, go ahead, please. You wanted to say something.
And for SMEs, they think it's not a cost, it's an investment.
Okay.
It's not the same thing.
Is that too?
Because if you think it's a cost, you say it's very expensive. If you think it's an investment, it's of your future and your development.
But you need to demonstrate to some of those SMEs that it is worth that investment, right? how much do you struggle with that in trying to persuade them? This sort of mindset change, like, right, like Jesus was talking about. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
How do you try to change mindsets with your SME organization?
For
right?
the change the mind for investment, I think you SMEs digital SMEs find to opportunity and explain to the customers what is they need, what is they do. For example, for e-commerce, for digital reference, for all things. If you just see your city, your zone, you died.
You have to look beyond.
You need to be, today we are in a world and we need to see the world and work with the world.
And that's right, and digital is the answer for that, right? Let's then go to the solutions now. And the support that there is out there, the platforms, the resources. Let's start with you, Efka, about the platforms and the resources.
Yeah, so
Because there's a lot of them outside of this room with all kinds of booths and things showing how people can solve their digital issues, right?
Yeah, so when you partner with a big organization like ours, we're active in 170 countries all over the world, so we have a very wide network of our clients and our partners that we work with.
Right.
But it's very important to have an understanding of that and to have programs in place. And we are active in Europe since 23 years now, almost close to 25. But we have programs in place already, for example, in France, Digital Impulse, that we started in 2014.
Right.
It's a startup competition, basically.
Yeah.
And we invest in those programs all over Europe since long. We have a good example is something that we did in Greece. That was actually a competition organized by the Greece government, where we are partnering with a company for, they check the forest for fire. So it's like a protection of the forests company startup. And now, we have been partnering with technology. It's with the use of 5G, AI, cloud, everything there. And now, they are not only a startup, but a scale-up. And, we help them growing their business. And now they moved their business to Cyprus, for example, and thinking of other countries as well.
So there is impact. There are results. You're getting results from that.
Exactly. Yes, we do.
Very good. Who else can talk about the solutions that they're offering and there's getting impact? You're making impact.
When you get approached by SME and they want to invest and want to spend some money, it's a big challenge for them. It's a big decision. So.
Yeah.
There are two main ways of helping them. First of all, you don't need to do it alone. We can find you a partner that will either provide you technology, either provide you a first market, or maybe a corporate that will show you how to expand. So you don't need to do it alone. We have an ecosystem, and we can do it together. And on the other side, we share the cost with you. So if we see it interesting, we can invest in that venture you are taking off.
Okay.
So you don't need to pay it alone.
Right.
So there are two ways of lowering the barrier to get there.
Okay. I'm going to keep doing a couple more questions on this side, but please do send in your questions. I'm starting to get some in here. So please send them in through the Slido, and we'll go away with them. We'll go at them. Holst, let me ask you, what solutions you offer in your organization, your SME organization?
I think we have two, long-term and short-term.
Yeah.
How to reach the goals, what they said yesterday. And long-term, it starts with education at schools. This is where we have to bring it in. Also, practical digital skills are ready for entrepreneurship, because people are coming with 16, 18, have no clue how to use a Microsoft Office program. It starts there, digitalization. And then short-term is, of course, we have a fragmented market of training programs. Even the governments don't know what they are doing. They are not working together. We have thousands. The people are overwhelmed. iPhone and SME Connect wants that we have one page where all the programs are there from the private and also from the public sector, where there's artificial intelligence who gives the first advice, which program is for me. Which could I use? And this would be our approach. We learned that the government makes programs, has not enough staff to implement it. They want to have a target for 200,000 SM to reach, but have only the resources to do 8,000 SMEs. Then we will be finished in 100 years.
So you need more machine learning in that. Amandine, how can you add to that? I saw you nodding. So.
If you have the people training for the first level, you can just do the second level. It's more evident and less cost. So I think all people, all countries do that. From training the new generation with IT, with digital skills. And now, what you do, excuse me, my English is not very good.
En français, tu peux le dire.
N'importe quel job que vous faites.
Any kind of job you want, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You need digital IT. You need digital skills, and now if you want to do something, you need that. It's a first level.
Okay, very good. I'd like to go to a couple of questions right here. I'm going to get started, and please do send in some more. One is, and consider this almost like a workshop. If you want, you have these experts here. You have these resources. Tap their brains. And here's one. I'm an SME of about 10 people. What's the best way to connect my staff on the cloud? Who can talk about that? Amandine, I guess. Oh, no, sorry. Afka, please. Afka.
Yeah, well, it depends a little bit what sector you're in, I guess.
Yeah, Mike, a little closer.
If you walk around here, you see so many solutions when it comes to retail, finance, healthcare, but there it also depends a little bit on where you're based. Connectivity is very important, of course, and I'm sure there will be plenty of colleagues that will be able to help you out here. So I think you came to the right event and at the right place. So happy to connect with you after the panel to connect you to the right people for that.
Absolutely. This is also a very good networking opportunity. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. What kind of, unless somebody else wants to add to that, because you're talking to SMEs, and somebody asks you, what's the best way to get started on the cloud? Who wants to add to that?
This is not the first time we get asked that, because many SMEs, when they come to us, and we can offer them money, but many times they want these kind of services. So Huawei provides one, the other telcos or companies do provide. So this in-kind support is quite well received by them.
But they want your advice,
Yeah.
right? They don't want to talk to a salesman, they want to talk to somebody who can help them with advice, right? And what do you tell them? What do you tell them if they're
we tell them to go for smart support. So that means that it's not just the cloud, but if you have also AI solution on top of cloud, and you have a cybersecurity solution, so you need to choose which one you need.
okay?
Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution here.
Yeah.
Really. It has to be tailor-made. So, it's it really depends on sector, location, needs indeed, different other technologies that you may want to add to the cloud service. So, data centers that we have all over the world. So, we can have a one-stop solution. That's what we have on offer, and happy to connect with that.
Amandine, here's a question for you first, because you were talking about training. What kind of training is best for an SME to start with, and how to get it? It's one of the questions coming from you out here.
Oh, I think for training, before you need to understand what you want for your company and what you need for your company.
What you need, right.
After, you need to discover the level of you employed. If sometimes you have employed geek, they have impression special for IT digital, certainly no. So perhaps that they don't have a good program for training or not good program. Today in Europe we have a lot of programs, but you have a MOOC in internet, you can find something.
Because you're founder of Steel PC, which is like an IT company, right?
Yeah, IT.
What do you do there?
We do hardware, software. We have a cloud, and data center.
Good, good. And so you help companies with that, SME startups?
We help SMEs, company, all sectors, to do with your hardware, software, or things cloud, or for services, IT services.
Right, right. And for SMEs, what's the typical problem they face in getting started? When they say, I want to get started in digital, what do you tell them?
We have a lot of problems with cybersecurity because they don't find the good the good security for their problem, and we have a lot of problem with I don't arrive to send my mail, my printer is not good, or how I do that. Now we have a lot of problems with community. Because SMEs thinks IT provider, IT service, do service community manager. So
No.
No.
That's not my job.
No. Me, I repair hardware, software, cloud, but I'm not community manager. I don't communication. It's not the same job. And
but you refer them to somebody to deal with. But aren't you? You're also in a women's organization, right? Can you tell me about that as well, and what challenges they face?
With Digital SME France?
Yes.
Yes. Digital SME France is an organization. We represent SMEs in France, digital SMEs in France and in Europe for program with, we talk about cybersecurity program, we talk about cyber resilience, or yesterday we do a digital summit in Brussels for speak about a problem with SMEs and solution for SMEs, for example, intelligence artificial or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. We were talking a bit about AI. Here's another question. AI presents a great opportunity for SMEs to improve efficiency in their business operations. Okay. But how do we know who to trust in such a fast-moving environment? Where's that trust factor? How do you deal with that trust factor? Afka, you're nodding. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's something that we try to work on every day, of course, because trust is the most important thing that we can offer to our customers, and that's what we do already for so many years.
Yeah.
So that is definitely the number one priority that we have around here. So yeah, how do we do that? Working hard every day, night to make sure that we have the best services and for the best price, of course.
Can you say any more about the programs that you have in those different countries, how you're helping to build trust as well as capability?
Yeah, I think what you just mentioned, we have also specific programs for women, app developer programs.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool because a lot of apps are very much made and designed by men for men, right? Mm-hmm. So we have now started that in Asia, and now we are rolling out that all over the world. And it's a program, a competition specifically for women, creating apps, that are more inclusive and more diverse. So that has already, come up with lots of fantastic initiatives, like for example an app, tracking and monitoring a pregnancy for women in Kenya, and for, not only for herself but for her family, so that also people far away in other countries can monitor what's happening and see progress in and you can upload your pictures of the doctor's visits and everything. So, that was not even there. It sounds very simple, but those are apps that we and people and entrepreneurs that we try to help develop. So, but for us, it's very important that we not only provide the technology, but also really provide the network, the coaching, and the support, and the belief and the trust that they can do it.
The ecosystem, right? Does anybody else want to talk about that ecosystem concept? It's very important for SMEs because a lot of them feel that they're alone. How can you keep them from feeling so alone? They're part of an ecosystem, right? Horst?
Yeah, of course. SME Connect is based on this networking, exchange of experience, and also to learn. And we have not enough resources to cover every field. So we needed this exchange. But I wanted to go back to artificial intelligence.
Okay.
There is a regulation now coming up of the European Parliament, the European Union now. I think it's a right approach, a little bit over-regulated, because you have here also an openness to new technology. And Europe is sometimes missing this. They have always to protect, and then. But the main problem is here in artificial intelligence. The majority of SMEs are users or mixed users of artificial intelligence, and really small numbers are there. And there we have now sandboxes where these are tested, and we have there two less experts for all of this. And the SMEs are struggling to compete with large companies about competent people in all the sectors.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's an issue. I mean, it's the first regulation of its kind in the world. And they don't want to over-regulate, but of course there's criticism on both sides. Here's another question. How can we change the education system to be more vocational and connected to digital needs of SMEs? Who would like to talk about that?
So important. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why it's for companies like Huawei to work together with organizations like United Nations, international organizations, governments at a national level, to make sure that that we help and support each other in making programs that are really beneficial to the educational level.
Yeah.
Because that's also in our benefit. We have 200,000 people working for us, 100,000 in research, and we need people. We need technological people to, for our business and to help partners all over the world. And so it's we benefit all if we have that well arranged.
Jesus, is that a frustration that some of these startups and companies feel? I'm sure.
Yeah, there's a lack of talent.
I want to hire these people, but I need more skills.
Indeed.
They need more skills. And is it educational systems that have to change?
Indeed. We have a quite old educational system in Europe, and university needs to move faster to fulfill any gap in the market. And that's why you can see more and more programs that involve industry and SMEs into the education path.
Right.
So during the education, during the career, during the studies, they do talk to companies, and I think that's the way.
Okay. Afka, you want to add to that? Because this is kind of a policy-making question, and you used to be a policy-maker in dealing with education.
Yeah, it comes really close to my heart, so you see that I get enthusiastic about this topic. But indeed, and we also have to recognize that most startups are not only young people in their 20s, it's also people, in their 50s, 60s, having a career and having time at hand, being in good health and starting their new business, who are also lacking or feeling a bit more insecure about their digital skills.
Yeah.
So we have to help them as well. So it's not only at the, universities or at high schools or whatever, it's throughout life.
Can we talk a little bit more about the policy? Okay, we talked about education, talked about regulation, about AI, and what is the role of policymakers in helping SMEs overcome these digital barriers? And how can that be done in a way to support SMEs? Because sometimes it's a bit blunt-edged and is not really helping SMEs. Do you see that, Holst?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Oh,
Let's give Holst some airtime there.
Yeah. I was not a policymaker, but freedom first. We have over-regulation, bureaucracy, putting SMEs down. If you want to learn digitalization on a Sunday, you're sitting there, you're making your taxation, because of reporting to everything, you have no time for your education. This is the policy we have to change. We have to give them certainty that they are not, with data protection it's important, but that the punishment is related to their size and also the person that they are willing to take risk and not afraid to take a risk. And then, of course, financing. But financing is the end of all the things, not the beginning.
Right. Okay, but on policy making, though, maybe I can come from the other side and say, well, for GDPR, for instance, data protection, that can be a real bugbear for an SME. But these regulations they're exemptions. They're exemptions for smaller SMEs, right? That they don't have to deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah, but in fact it's not true, because the GDPR is in the supply chains by large companies or by other organizations. They're enforcing this also to SMEs. This is the mailing service. If
Really?
you make mass mailing services and you are then it's already yeah, there's many problems. But the GDPR by the European Union is very feasible. The problem is how member states are interpreting this, because they have 27 different variations of this, more or less enforced. In Germany, higher standards, in other countries, less. In others, don't enforce it. They have higher standards, but don't enforce it. It's a little bit a mess. And if you have an internal market, there's a little bit uncertainty, of course.
Okay, Amandine, did you want to add to that? Yeah.
The regulation isn't the solution. I think we need to, it's the same thing, training, learning, educate the people, how you use. If you explain at people what is that, how you use that, they can use all. If you just educate.
Okay.
50 years ago, all people don't have education because people went to the school. Now, all people can have education through the network, through the MOOC, through GPS, through all. So now we don't take information, we don't take this one. We need to education how use that. It's good. And the regulation, it's one of things, but I think it's better to educate the population how use that.
Okay. Is regulation an issue for you, for your SMEs that you deal with, Jesus?
Yes. We understand the regulation many times as a geopolitical move. So
What's one problem with regulation that
it's
they have?
expensive to implement for SME.
It's the paperwork, right?
Yeah, it's a paperwork for SME, and SME by definition are small and cannot devote.
But wouldn't a digital aspect make it easier? Maybe it's a question of making it digital that would facilitate it and make it cheaper to deal with, or not? And the host is saying, no.
I want only to say, how are we expecting SMEs are digitalized if our government's administrations are not digitalized? Estonia is very good, but you have all this paperwork. This is really like 1980 or something, and then we say SMEs have to be digitalized, but all the processes with the government administration is analog.
Yeah, I know there's a push to make that happen. And on regulation, there's a manifesto by Digital Europe that I discovered, regulatory sandboxing to check the impact of new regulations on SMEs. What do you think about that? Anybody want to express an opinion?
It's not working. It's just the SME test.
Yeah, the SME test. What do you think?
This is after you coming from the Commission comes a proposal. They're making this. What is the impact of SMEs?
Yeah.
Lack of data. There is no list. What is mandatory to check? I have to say this SME test was several times tried to enforce to make it more substance. In fact, it is a placebo for me, for
Right.
our SMEs organizations.
Right.
We have really to enforce an SME test, what it means, the cost. This is, but I don't think it will happen in the next 10 years.
Okay.
Pessimistic.
Can we talk about emerging technologies like AI, like 5G, on SMEs and how they can be used to drive growth and innovation? Emerging technologies, how much is that important to an SME? Somebody talk about that? Go ahead.
Yeah, super important.
Okay.
And just to go further on your point, I myself, I just came back from 3 years in China, where I lived with my family, and I was just very fascinated by how technology is embraced there, right? And how the ecosystem for startups is so, very close to a fintech center, of course, of Hong Kong, how that is flourishing, right? Because it's just very much a positive mindset on technology. And for me, it's not so much about regulation, it's much more about the fear for technology that we have in Europe that we need to overcome, more or less. And also the fear of new technologies. When you talk to people about AI, most of them are like, oh my God, and that needs to be far away from me, even though you're already using it, right? Almost every day yourself when you use Google services or whatever. So it's already part of life. And I think, that there needs to be much more understanding and much more information on, how technology actually can make your life better and makes you more and better, simpler connected to your business, but also to your family and so forth.
All right. I got barely 5 minutes left. I'd like to get kind of a lightning round from you. how about what, say I'm an SME, what's the first step I should take to go digital? What's the first step? How do I shift to digital? How do you persuade that 1/3 of the SMEs across Europe to go digital? What's the one step that they should take? The first step. Is it investment? Is it training? Is it hardware? Is it what?
Analyzing my business, what I need first, and when is the return of investment, what we heard. This is the two essential points. Otherwise, I do something what I don't need, and I'm losing time and losing money. But these people knows it better than me here from the ground.
Yeah, Jesus, please.
Yeah, we see these cases. So you go to an SME to explain how AI can boost their business, and they still use Excel in the best case. So they feel it. They know that they need to turn it, but they haven't done the homework for many years.
Yeah.
So they need to be up to date first. I think that's the challenge we have.
Right, and as an IT company, working with these small companies, what do you tell them?
Yeah.
They say, I want to go digital, but how do I do it?
The first step, it's really that you analyze what you have, what you want to go, and after you write an investment on few years, and with training before, and all people of you employer, all who you employer, need to go with you, with the boss, with the manager, because you have, if you employed not to go with society, with SMEs, you have a very problem, and nobody do that.
Right. Right, Afka, there's a lot of gee whiz technology outside this room,
Yes.
and somebody, probably some little SME would say, oh my gosh, where do I start?
Yeah.
What do you tell them?
Well, don't get too overwhelmed by all the technology, right? So that would be my first point. I've been in tech for almost 20 years, and I still do not get everything on how it works.
Sure.
For me, it's much more important on what it does for you, right, on daily life. So don't be afraid of technology, but really try to use it. Even if you're a small SME and you have a very small pharma market, for example, the need to go online, I think, is apparent for almost everybody. SME, individual, what else, So go online, don't be afraid, and grow your business and have a happy life.
Fear not, and go forward. I hope you heard some great ideas out there, and if there's more networking afterward, great. That's it for Euronews Debates now. Please do keep in mind the hashtag SME Innovation for any great things you heard. And our thanks to Jesus, Amandine, Horst, and Afka. Let's give them a big hand here. And thanks to you all. I'm Chris Burns. See you next time.